Hi everyone, my name's Carolyn Hayter. My social media handle is @Langdon-Hyde, and you'll find that I hang out on Instagram most of all. Today I would like to show you how to make some Christmas snow globes. Pretty straightforward. I'm sure you've probably seen them made before. I have got ones that I've made previously. I'm sure you've probably seen some of these on my Instagram page or on my Facebook account. These are my favourites at the moment. They haven't got any ribbons on, but these little characters I bought from Poundland, and they were actually I think sold as either gift tags or Christmas tree decorations. And I bought, I think last year they were 2 for £1, so very inexpensive little items. Another example is this little polar bear. He came as a set of 3 from Sainsbury's. Now, as you can see, he's a bit low down in the snow, so when I show you how to make one today, I'm actually going to put the polar bear on a pedestal so we can get a bit more snow in the jar. One of my favourites is this little fella. Now again, the bottle brush trees were bought as a pack, and the little car, this is one of those driving home from Christmas type trucks that were very popular last year. I bought him from Hobbycraft. I think he was a set of 2 as well, and I've put him in a little yogurt jar, so he actually, the jar stands upright. Another of my favourites is this one. This is a post box and 2 bottle brush trees in a little one of those individual jam or chutney jars that you get at Christmas. I particularly like this shape, but you know, they're not your everyday ones. It's probably more the sort that you get at Christmas. So that's where we're going to start today. That's some ideas of what you can put in your globe. I've got a list here of the essential things that you'll need. So you'll need some clean jam jars. They come in all different shapes and sizes, I'm sure you'll know, so just keep your eye out when you're buying jam to buy the ones with the nicest jars. A bag of fake snow, which you can buy from Hobbycraft or online. The one I bought this time I actually bought at my local garden centre. I've put glue on the list. You may wish to stick the lids on or you may not. I've got a hot glue gun here for that purpose. Then we've got, as I mentioned earlier, a bauble or some kind of toy to put into the globe. Bottle brush trees, which we've talked about, and then some ribbon or some baker's twine to tie around the lid just to smarten it up, and then maybe some double-sided tape depending on what it is you're going to put in the jar. So that's the kind of list of bits and pieces. Aside from that, you'll need some scissors, and I think that's probably, oh, and some little plastic tubs there to just put the snow in before I put it in the jar. And I've also got one here with my glue gun in, because I'm sure everybody knows how messy glue guns can be. So I thought we'd start with a really tiny one. Now these, I was actually selling these at a Christmas fair the year before last because the children loved them. I was only charging £1 each, and the idea is that, as I say, we'll empty the snow out. I just wanted to get a good measure before I started. So we'll empty the snow into there, put that to one side before it ends up on the floor. And then for this one, I've got this little telephone box. Now, quite a classic English icon. I've actually got Christmas cards with them on this year, so they're still regarded as Christmassy, even though you don't see many of them nowadays. And what I intend to do is stick it in the middle of the lid, put some snow in the jar, and then screw the lid on, and probably finish this one off, because he's tiny, with a little bit of the, I think the red and white baker's twine will look nice with that, as the object's red and black. Just put that there for a moment. So I'm just waiting for the glue to heat up. So let's just put a little bit of glue on his base. I don't know if you can see that. I'm afraid I'm not the best person with glue, but there we are. While it's hot, turn him over and stick him in the lid, right in the middle, and hold him just for a moment or two. So we'll leave him there and put the snow back in the jar. I've got this little wooden spoon for that purpose. Again, it is inclined to go everywhere, this fake snow. So you want to handle it with a reasonable amount of respect. I'll put that in there like that. I think that will be enough, because actually I might put a little bit more in there. Let's take some out of this jar. I must admit, this is the thing that's most difficult to judge, because you don't really know how much room the object's going to take up, and also they sit down quite low in the lid, so the snow will go down into the lid as well. So I'm not going to put any glue on the lid for the moment. I'm just going to put this in here, turn it, and then tap the snow around. So there. So there's your phone booth in a jar. Now, I'm not going to glue the lids for the moment. I'm just going to put some ribbon on there. If you've got children and you're going to let them handle these, then I would recommend you do glue them, just so that obviously the snow and all the bits and bobs don't come out. So I'm going to, got a nice length of twine here, wrap it round. I think, yeah, just wrap it round a couple of times and tie a knot, nice tight knot. And then keeping your finger on the knot, tie it into a bow. Actually, this twine's easier to tie tight than the ribbon, it's not so slippery. There we are. So there's your first miniature snow globe. So I'm going to put him over here with the others in my snow globe village, my snow globe forest. And the next little one I'm going to make is with one of these tiny trees. Now again, I'm going to empty the snow out of the jar. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on his base, just like we did the phone booth. Oh, that's better. I've got some glue coming through now. So again, right in the middle of the lid, like that. We'll leave him to stick and put the snow back in the jar. Something's worth pointing out, that if you buy snow online, you can't always tell from the images what it's going to be like. So I would recommend actually going to your garden centre or to a craft store that sells it, because then you know what you're buying. It tends to come in all different sort of grades, and this is a nice fine one. Looks a bit like sugar actually, but I've got another one here that is a bit coarser. It's more like, I'll show you, it's actually more like polystyrene, I think. I don't know what that's been made from. And then I don't know whether you saw my big jar, but this one, I bought this snow online, and it is very coarse, and it's got some shiny bits in it, which, although pretty, you may not always want when you're trying to create a forest. So this time I've got about the jar, by the time you get to the top there, I guess it's about a third full. I'm still going to put a bit more in there actually, because I don't want it to look stingy. I just get some out the bag and put it in. As I say, if you don't glue the lids on to start with, then you can add more or take some out, depending what your preference is. So I think this is going to be quite a snowy, snowbound tree, but let's see what he looks like. So again, the tree's stuck to the lid. We'll put the lid on the jar, and it doesn't actually want to go in because there's so much snow in there. So let's just push it to one side and screw it on. Again, give it a good shake so the snow comes down the side. I don't think this jar was tall enough for the tree actually. He's got a bit, it's like he's a bit been caught in a snowstorm. So I'm just going to take that one off and take it off over this. Right, so let's see. One, I think, as I say, the tree is maybe a bit too tall and possibly a bit too much snow. If I push the snow to the side like that, I'm hoping the tree will go in now. He's definitely a bit tall. You have to be careful with these little jars because some are quite dumpy and some are quite slender. I think this is the taller one, but clearly the tree is still too tall for that. So if we accept that that one's been caught in a bit of a blizzard, let's put the snow around one side. This time I'm going to put some green and white twine on him. So again, cut quite a good length so that it goes around the jar at least twice and allows some left over to tie the bow. You want to try and get it as, because there's where the, I don't know what you call it actually, where you screw the lid on, the glass is quite, there's ridges there. So try and get it to the lowest ridge so that you can see the maximum amount of tree. And then again, tie a bow, or a knot I should say, nice and tight. Tie a bow on the part of the tree that you want facing you, or the ornament, whatever you've put in there. And there you are, a miniature little snow globe. Put him over here, as I say, with the village. So let's see if we can make one that's actually fits in the jar. Now, I thought this jar was a lovely shape. I've got a couple like this actually, different sizes. You have to be a bit careful. I think my favourite, this is my absolute favourite shaped jar for a snow globe, because you've got the bulbous bit at the bottom where the snow is. You've got this lovely sort of almost like reed glass on it, and then the tree in the middle. And I think this jar had some kind of preserved fruit that we had as a Christmas present. So that's my favourite sort. This is a nice shape, but I'm actually going to keep it up that way. So again, we've got the bulbous bit at the bottom, and the lid will go on the top. So tip the snow out. So this time I've got one tree that I think I'm going to put in here. I might actually, because I'm doing it that way up, I might be able to get a couple of trees in there, and maybe even these different sizes. Might be able to get 3 in there. So let's see how that works out. I'm going to start with the smallest one. So again, glue on the bottom. Yeah, that's what I thought might happen, but there. So he's in, he's just on the very edge because I can't get my hand in very far. I will do the middle size one. Put him round a little bit away, a bit of a gap between them. Like that. And then I've got this one. I think this one, guessing, is about 4 inches. I think that's the tallest size. So that's probably about 3, that one's probably about 2, and I guess the smallest one is probably 1.5 inches. Sorry for talking imperial. I can switch between the two, but that's just, I can't actually work out what that is in centimetres at the moment. So this is the last tree, the big one. I'll put him over there, like that. So there, we've got this lovely Christmas tree forest. The lovely snowy trees. Now this is the snow that I took out of there, so I'm going to give the glue a moment to dry. While I'm doing that, I might consider what ribbon to use. I was going to use this one because it kind of goes with the colour of the lid, but I don't know whether it needs something a bit brighter. Got a nice satiny green one there, or a nice red and white spotty one. I did have some with Christmas messages on, as you probably saw. That was a Merry Christmas one, which again is I think from Hobbycraft. They do lovely ribbons, in fairness, and not too expensive. Right, I'm going to risk putting the snow in now because I think the glue should have set. So I'll just get my spoon out of here. Now this should be easier to judge because obviously I'm not going to be turning this one upside down. So I'll just put the snow in. Now somebody said to me the other day, shouldn't they have water in them? Because obviously traditional snow globes, as we probably knew from our childhood, did have water and glitter in them. Well, you can, but obviously with the items I'm putting in, with the glue, and for instance that phone booth is just like a paper pattern, obviously the water would soon destroy that. So my snow globes tend to be dry. There we are. I've got a lovely deep snowy forest in there. Of course you can move it round so you can have less snow around the smaller ones, more snow around the bigger ones. So I'll put a little bit more in because I think we can keep it over to that side where the big tree is. And obviously if it moves, because you pack them away or something, you can just, when you get them out, give them a good shake, and the snow reposition itself. So, as I say, this is the lid for this one. Just put that on there. Give them a little shake so the snow is surrounding the big tree. I'm going to try it with the gold ribbon actually. Let's see how it looks. It'll be very easy to change if I think one of the coloured ones will look better. So again, tie a nice tight knot before tying the bow. Sometimes if you've got a pattern or wording on a ribbon, it's quite hard to get it so the writing's the right way up all the way round. So sometimes these are ideal actually, the ones with the stitching detail. Cut that off at an angle, cut the other one at an angle. There. There's your lovely pine forest Christmas tree snow globe. Now, I must admit, if you've got several of these together, all different shapes and sizes, with some fairy lights around them on a shelf or on a mantelpiece, they look absolutely magical. So that's another pine forest. I quite like that one. Put him over there. So now I've got these two polar bears left. So, I was going to say I stuck the bell on that one's nose. We might have to redo that if I can find the bell. And this one's got this green ball. That's how he came. So these three, sorry, those two, and this one with the red ball on his nose. I bought all those in Sainsbury's, I think in the new year, so after Christmas, for very little money. And decided that they'd make good snow globe objects. Right, here's the bell. Let's give that another go. Just pick off the glue that was on there. I'm going to put it on his nose. Put it on his nose. And see if the bell will stick. It may be that it's too heavy or that the materials just don't work with the glue. So we'll leave him to one side, see if he dries or not. So taking this one then, and one of these plain jars, I'm going to take the smaller one. Yeah, because that bear's slightly bigger. I'm going to take the smaller jar, empty the snow out again. Now, I did actually make the pedestal for the other one, but I might see how this works. I think that'll work, so long as we put loads of snow in there to hide the pedestal. So I think a polar bear in the snow is the right way to go. So glue gun again. I'm just going to check which lid goes on this jar. I think they're interchangeable, the black one and the gold one. Right, I actually think this one, the black one, goes on here. So I'm going to start off by sticking the pedestal. Now I've made this out of foam board, just lots and lots of squares of foam board. I'm going to put that slightly to one side in the lid. This might be difficult to judge actually how the polar bear is going to sit in there. But stick him to the pedestal, just a bit of glue on his feet. stick him to the polystyrene like that. Now, I'm going to let him dry for a minute. Let's put the snow back in the jar. I think this hot glue does dry quite quickly. I think once it's cold, you'll find that it's stuck. You just have to make sure you don't stick your fingers to it as well. Right, now I'm going to actually put a bit more in there because I don't think that's going to reach the polar bear. So let's tip a bit more in from the bag. You see I've just cut the corner off the bag so that it doesn't go everywhere. So let's try with it half full and see how that works. I think he's okay. The pieces of foam board I've used, I actually stuck together with double-sided tape rather than with glue. So again, I'm going to put the snow to one side to start with. I actually think that works quite well. So there's the polar bear up to his middle in lovely deep snow. I'm going to give that lid a real twist, make sure it doesn't come off. And again, we just add some ribbon. I'm actually going to add this gold ribbon again because I quite like this one. It does seem to work quite well with the way the bows fall with the stitching along the edge. You may have heard me or seen on Instagram earlier in the week that I was making gift tags and using ribbons from carrier bags, because some of the handles on carrier bags, maybe not so much nowadays, now everybody's being careful about packaging, but historically the handles could sometimes be really decorative, especially somewhere like Anthropology. I think I used a number of cream ribbons like this, but they were cream with red stitching. So there he is. I'm just going to trim the edge of that ribbon so it's a bit neater. So there, polar bear in a jar. So I'm not going to put the other polar bear in a jar today because I want to make another pedestal for him. I think you can see that bell has stuck to his nose quite successfully, and he'll go in this jar similar to this one. So let's see what we've made today then. So just to recap, we've got the polar bear, we've got the telephone kiosk, we've got the pine tree in a blizzard, and we've got the pine forest. Here, let's put all those there. Put them back so you can see them. So I think you can see quite effective, fun to make with children. I hope you've enjoyed that little lesson, and I'll be back in the not too distant future showing you how to make pinwheels for Christmas. So thank you very much for tuning in today, and happy Christmas.